frequency of the times, the sonic chronic frequency.
Hey, I'm Shay Z, creative alchemist, music producer, artist, and vocal vixen. Born in Xanadu and living in LA, ready to scratch that itch in your brain.
And hey, I'm Mandy, singer, actress, lover, born and raised in LA, here to sprinkle a little magic everywhere I go. And welcome to the Sonic Chronic, where we discuss the soundtracks and music of the most popular film titles of the year and how they were influenced or were influenced by the cultural and global buzz of that year. Who were its popular tastemakers and storytellers, and what was the frequency of that time?
Yes, let's get into it again.
Let's get into it!
And this is actually 1998 Part 2.
Part 2.
And I don't want to miss a thing.
Hey, I don't want to close my eyes.
All right, so I hope you guys know what quote that's from.
I
or what
know.
song that's from.
Yes.
What movie that was in. But we are going to review that title. Yeah, so part 1, we basically are breaking out our episodes into 2 parts for the year we do, just so we have more time to go through the amazing titles that emerged. You know, we have the top box office as well as the top rated movies that we look at each year.
Yes.
And we bounce that against what was happening in the world and also what was happening musically with that. You know, we want to see if there's a connection. What were we drawn to? Maybe some of the music and what was in those movies was a reason why that movie was popular. Or maybe that was just what was like, you know, resonating with everybody. Yeah, I
Make sure
think...
you check out part 1 if you missed it, because
Definitely.
you did some great
Yes,
films that
I mean,
year.
both of these parts, we divided it equally. We felt
Yes.
pretty equal about the titles, and we really wanted to kind of like divvy it up enough so that it was good variety. But the titles are awesome. I remember thinking, wow, we take you on a time warp.
25
25
years ago.
years we zip back, and I'm like, Jesus, 25 years, 1998, that is crazy. But a lot has changed culturally. A lot has changed musically. A lot has changed in our storytelling. And so it was really interesting to see what was the buzz that year, what people were loving.
Let's go back
Yeah,
to that time.
yeah, let's go back to
Remind
that
me
time.
what was happening in 98.
Let's remind you guys what was happening, what was stirring around the world. Okay, that was the year that the Good Friday Agreement, a peace accord signed between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, was implemented. That was like a big kind of to-do, I guess, apparently. So this is like something we were aware of globally, not necessarily a U.S. thing, right? The United Nations created the International Criminal Court to prosecute individuals for crimes against humanity, war crimes, and genocide.
Okay.
So this was something that they realized was an issue that we needed to speak to, we needed to put into place, right? The United States launched airstrikes against Iraq in response to non-compliance with UN weapons inspections. So again, UN was trying to step it up. We were asking them, hey, we need you to be peacekeepers. You know, there was a lot of bad actors going on around the world. You know, there was a lot of war tension happening that year. The euro was implemented that year.
What?
That became the official currency of the European Union that year.
Whoa.
The euro. Remember, it used to be like, go to London, it's pounds, and
Yeah,
everybody has their own
that's
thing.
so true.
And then the Winter Olympics were held in Nagano, Japan. And we saw the debut of women's ice hockey as an Olympic sport.
Yay.
How cool is that?
Girl power.
Girl power.
Do you know, Shay, that year was also the year that Seinfeld had its final episode?
That was the end of Seinfeld?
That was the end of Seinfeld and the beginning of Sex and the City.
Your favorite.
But also, Lauryn Hill released her
Ooh.
epic album,
Miss Education. Oh my
of
God,
Lauryn
that
Hill.
was such a dope album. Still iconic.
It's timeless album. And do you remember the famous duet by Brandy and Monica?
Yes.
The boy is mine, the boy is mine, the boy is mine.
Yes!
I'm sorry that you seem to be confused.
Oh.
He belongs to me. The boy is mine.
Yes.
Yo.
Oh my God. Yes. Good
And
reference. I love it.
You wouldn't think this, but maybe. Harrison Ford was sexiest man alive that year.
I believe it.
I believe it too.
I believe it. You know what? He's kind of making a comeback. Have you seen the show Shrinking on Apple TV?
Everybody keeps talking about
You
this.
have to watch it.
Okay, I need to watch it.
It's got
Apple
also
TV.
Jason
Segel.
Segel.
Yes.
So it's him and Harrison Ford. And
perfect combo.
you know what? It was
together.
random at first, and I was like, wait a second. And I love his character. He actually is older and a little bit slowed down, but still the same kind of smooth, even-keeled
so
vibe.
smooth, yeah.
You know, Indiana Jones, all the things. He always had that kind of like very smooth, silky kind of vibe, you know? He still does. And actually, he's really funny. He's really funny.
I can't wait to watch that.
You got to watch it. It's super smart, and it actually is really sweet. It's a good show. It's only one season in.
Oh, perfect. I can just binge right
You can
through
do it. You can binge it.
One last thing I have to say, otherwise, about 98.
Yeah.
Cher released Do You Believe in Love?
You gotta sing it.
Even laugh after love. I can feel something inside me say. Yes. I'll stop now.
No, keep going. I love it. Oh my gosh.
Cher, mother, that was her comeback.
That was her comeback. There was a big comeback push for Cher. And everybody was
all
like,
this
oh my
dance
God.
music.
Like, she's like Fountain of Youth. Yeah, the onesie that was like a see-through onesie. Remember?
yeah.
She was all like, I'm Cher. I don't care what my age is. Woo, woo, woo.
Cher has
Female
had a
empowerment.
hit song in every
telling you.
decade. So
Seriously?
this is just in the 90s.
She is amazing. I feel like when we think about that, artists like that, I mean, obviously when we pick it up, but she's been in a lot of movies too. That's the other thing. She's an amazing actor.
Academy Award winner.
Oh wait, she's an
Golden
amazing
Globe
actor.
winner. Oh, yes. Want to talk about Moonstruck?
Why don't we? Yes, Moonstruck. I was just going to say that.
Which is an Eastwick.
Oh my God, so many.
Yes. I love her.
She's seriously like, I don't know why she's not number one whenever people talk about that. Like artists
sorry.
who keep themselves like relevant every decade.
Number one in my heart. Always.
No, but I know. But you know what? Other artists come up first, like maybe Madonna or something.
Yeah.
I'm saying like, of course, Goddess in her own right.
Right.
But really, like Cher is like a triple
paved
threat.
the way for sure.
Like
every
great
decade.
actor, great
60s,
artist.
70s,
Yes, that was
80s,
crazy.
90s.
Oh my God, I love that. And yes,
what a
that's an
great
interesting
year.
idea. Well, yeah, in '98, the music was kind of, I guess that was it. It was like that kind of music was charting, right?
Definitely dance music.
It was a mix of dance and maybe like
R&B and
yeah, it was more like that kind of vibe that was charting, right?
and also pop, sugar pop, Britney,
because that started spilling into
NSYNC, I
2000,
want
boy
you
bands and
back.
all that stuff, right?
Yes.
It was almost like a pendulum swing away from like grunge and all the other stuff that was happening in the earlier 90s.
And like we mentioned in the first part of
Or alt-rock.
1998, TRL had just launched this year. So
that's why
That's
the
when-
dance pop stuff was really popping.
and we were just always watching the music videos. And that's when music videos were just
That's when there was actually music videos
That we
on
wanted to watch.
music, television, and TV. Yeah, it's so sad that it literally become overrun with reality television, and then they don't even do. Remember
don't
Alt
even
Nation, Yo MTV Rap.
Yo.
I mean, all those channels, and it was like you look forward to watching a video. Like Madonna put out like a prayer, and it was like everybody came over to someone's house to watch the actual
Yes.
like video, and it was like cinematic, and like that doesn't happen anymore. It's like, but also it moved over to VH1. Like, remember?
Yeah.
They would actually continue to still play music
Do you
videos.
remember Pop-Up Video?
Yes. My friend
All the
actually
cool
worked on that show.
Really? I
Yeah,
love
she had to do
fun
the prompts
facts.
of all the fun
That's
facts.
so cool.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
That'd be an awesome job.
Yeah, that was that time. That was the time. That was our culture.
That was the frequency of the time.
That was the frequency. So here we are looking at film storytellers. What are we looking at? Let's do it.
Get into it.
All right.
We got some good ones for this episode.
We
y'all.
got some good ones, just like last episode, but this surprised me, some of the ones that we had to narrow it down.
We did. There were so
tough.
many that we had to just cut.
We narrowed it down. We did use some science, but we did decide it was the ones that not only chart topped in terms of popularity of watching, but it was also significant in terms of their soundtrack or their
Yes.
music score or something that had to do with the music artistry, right?
Yes.
And that could be that maybe the music or the soundtrack was charting as well. You know, that could be that. Yeah, let's.
All right, let's get
Shall
into
I
our
pick first?
You pick first, Shazy. What's it gonna be?
Okay. I love you more than anything in the universe. Except my dog, of course.
What is
Armageddon. Yeah,
Ooh,
remember
what
that
scene is
movie?
that?
So here's the thing about Armageddon. We realized there was another movie at the time that was equally popular, but also was speaking to the exact same thing, but had a different take on it, which we're not going to fully review, but we wanted an honorable mention.
Yes.
Is Deep Impact. And to be honest, I actually saw Deep Impact in the theater. I was interested in it. That had Morgan Freeman.
Morgan
people like
Freeman.
that. And some other well-known actors, but it was a bit more like from a scientific perspective. It was almost more of like an indie film kind of vibe where it was like really trying to speak to what we thought at the time we understood about climate threats. To us, a planet threat was asteroids out in space. We weren't even thinking about stuff on our planet. So that was interesting because it was more like that. Armageddon, on the other hand, to me, it was definitely Hollywood's take. And they loaded it up with people. Bruce Willis was one of the stars.
And
That
a love
tells you a
story,
lot.
too.
And it was all about kind of like Top Gun meets, I don't know. It was just kind of like, let's blow it out of the air.
I know.
And it was a little unrealistic in my opinion. But
It had a great cast, though.
you tell me more
Ben
what you thought about
Affleck,
it.
Liv Tyler, Billy Bob Thornton's in this. And
Billy Bob was the main
I always forget
character.
that Owen Wilson was in this, too.
And he actually had a small role. And Liv Tyler, though, she was the daughter
She
of
was
Bruce.
one of the leads, yeah.
Bruce Willis. What was his name? He was one of the main characters.
Bruce Willis, his name was Harry in
Harry.
this.
And so she was his daughter. And
Yeah, and Harry's protege was A.J. Frost, played by Ben Affleck.
Yes, and they were a love couple.
A love couple there.
Not him and Harry, but Liv. But it was kind of like there was moments where even the music was kind of like wah 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 wah. Like it was very like Die Hard. That's it. It was Die Hard meets
very Die
Top Gun.
Hardy. Just a good action.
Lots of explosions.
Love story and heroic bonding and patriotism and great comedic relief with Steve Buscemi in this and Owen Wilson.
I love
Steve.
Steve. He's actually one of my favorite actors, and I always forget about that. But he did what he could for this movie. I feel like you probably get a sense of how I felt about the movie. But here's the other thing that was really fantastic. This is kind of like the saving grace of why we felt the need to speak to Armageddon versus Deep Impact is that famous song
Oh my gosh.
was what really kind of gave it its like heels. I mean, the famous song, what I said, don't want to miss a thing. The quote for this episode is that Aerosmith, hello, Liv's father, a real life father. This is the song that was the anthem for this movie.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
literally the anthem for the movie.
Yeah, I think in terms of the hype and how they promoted it, actually it's kind of a bummer for Deep Impact because it basically was competing with Deep Impact. It was the same idea. Planet disaster, what happens when a comet is threatening life on Earth, and because Armageddon was like really pumped up, it was like a Hollywood blockbuster, a famous song. Liv Tyler, she was kind of coming out of the woodwork as an actor. She was actually really awesome in this movie, I have to say.
Yeah, and the soundtrack was incredible with Aerosmith with this, obviously, this famous song, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, written by Diane Warren.
Yes.
It was a love ballad. Originally, she had in mind to have Celine Dion sing this, actually. But
Oh, really?
Aerosmith took
I didn't
it
know
on.
that.
Yeah, and it was number one on the Billboard charts for a very long time. And it actually
Yes, it was.
had so many good nominations. Academy Award nom for Best Music,
Yes.
Original Song,
Yes.
Grammy Award for Song of the Year. Had an MTV Award, of course. That's like a given.
Yes. Well, Aerosmith was popping during this time. And like the fact that they want to invite Celine is because I think there was the popularity of Titanic happening. They wanted to, like, they do that. They're kind of like, oh, jump on the bandwagon of she's a hit, that voice, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's what really gave it a bit more legs because to be honest, the story was a little bit, dialed in. It was a little cliche. It was all the kind of like
a tearjerker though too in the end, and
It
just
is.
kind of reminding you to like keep your loved ones close because you just never know what's gonna happen. Like the world could end tomorrow,
Yeah.
and you just gotta.
But if your loved one has to go drill into a meteor to save the planet, well, you just got to let them go. I'm just kidding.
Oh my god.
I'm terrible. But seriously, I think that really did I think the big names in the movie as well as the music, like you said, getting that kind of recognition, I think it gave it more legs than
Yeah.
it would have had, right? But yeah, it was kind of like an all-star cast, but it was just kind of like, it wasn't very realistic. Maybe that's why I was like, that's not realistic. A lot of it wasn't realistic. And maybe it's because I saw Deep Impact and that was trying to be realistic, actually.
Yeah,
I mean, 25 years ago, we have much different knowledge now about what we're afraid of in space.
You know
what I mean?
NASA actually shows this film during their management training program for new managers.
What?
Yeah, it does. And I know what you're saying, that
that's
you didn't
weird.
really love it, right? But even the director, Michael Bay, says that this might be one of his worst films he ever did, and he wishes he had more time to complete it.
I have to say, if people know Michael Bay, that's what it felt like. And maybe that's why I was a little put off, because it was like, literally felt like, let's see if we can throw in another explosion. And I'm just
Right.
kind of like, look, people actually died. They were all like, one of the quotes, they were like, in the beginning when he was talking to the president, Billy Bob or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's all, oh, well, you know, it was all just small meteors, nothing to worry about, size of a Volkswagen. And I'm like, people died. New York City was destroyed. I think he was like, you just have to worry about the one that's a global killer. I'm like, how about the people that died in New York City? That's not important. And then the other thing that really killed me is the epitome of the movie for me was when they were already out in space trying to kind of do their job with a meteor. And remember the one guy that was there with the government, and he was like, oh, he didn't think they would do it, so he was going to go to a plan B. And he pulls out the gun, and the guy's like, what are you doing with the gun in space? And I just was like, oh my God, that was the quote for the movie. But no, the other thing I thought, the word that came to my mind when I was watching it, I was kind of scanning, I have to be honest. It was so long. It was like 2 hours and 30
It
minutes.
really is long.
I was like, the word that came to my mind was gratuitous. It was just gratuitous in all the ways possible. I mean, I know I'm kind of dominating my opinion on this, but what did you feel about it, genuinely?
I loved it.
Just like,
I'm a sucker
I'm knocking
for
it.
the romance and just the tearjerker,
Okay.
and Bruce Willis just saving the world so that his daughter can go marry the love of
That's
her
the other
life.
thing. They know that the world is going to end probably really likely in 17 days. And they're trying to prepare. And the dude, Ben, whatever his name was, and they're canoodling on this like awning or whatever. And he's all, will you marry me? And she's, yes. And I'm like, what? But anyway,
what?
I mean, look, you know, I honestly get it. Like, again, I think it was a sign of the times. People didn't want to think about real stuff. They wanted a happy ending.
Yeah.
They wanted stuff like that. I get it. And Bruce Willis, he was the epitome of that feel good, you know, let's save the day, rugged blue collar dude, you know, just trying to do his best. You know what's really sad? Like, not sad, I guess I don't know how to frame it, is that, you know, about his diagnosis. That's really sad. And he just had his 68th birthday, and he can't act anymore because he has dementia, and it's really changed him. But it's so wonderful to kind of honor him. So for that reason, I like to say, like, for what he did, and as an actor, like Die Hard and like this kind of movie, he was great for that kind of role.
100% Bruce Willis all the way. Everything you want from him,
He's
he
great.
delivered.
He's a feel-good guy.
Yeah, it's just unfortunately the movie itself was a little womp.
The
And you're not
movie was
alone. It got a 38% on Rotten Tomatoes, you know. And even the director, like he said,
I know.
He wished he had more time because they only had 16 weeks to film this.
Oh,
And
see,
it was
that
just like
it
a massive
shows.
undertaking. Like they needed to.
It was
redo the
too
whole
much. You know
third
what?
act,
They
yeah.
took on too much. I feel like that's what it was. Because, like, think about it. When they first found out, that was a big thing in itself. But instead of exploring that, they were like, montage of them training to be astronauts. They were basically a crew of oil rig drillers. And they're going out to space. Here's the other thing. It was a global issue. And why was it only 10 ragtag Americans were going off to help save the world? I'm like, what happened to the other people in the world who were probably experts that could probably do this too? What happened?
Know. Well, they
Michael
just thought
Bay?
like Harry was like, well, because he's like the top oil rig guy.
He's not an astronaut.
But they gotta go dig this hole on the meteor ship.
You gotta get there.
They gotta get the best of the best, and he didn't want to go without his team. And fun fact, they actually
There's
shot
one
on
Russian
an oil
dude.
rig in Galveston, off the coast of Galveston. That's where my family's from. So this is another thing.
Oh, are
why
they
I
from
love-
Galveston, Texas?
Yeah, shout
That's
out.
actually a
family
cute little
in
spot. I
Galveston.
remember touring there.
Yeah. So, okay, I think we know what you think.
I don't want to be the Debbie Downer, but I mean, look, I think you can agree. The story was, you know, if you're going for a story, no. And
You're going for the love
if you're going for
story.
facts, no. But if you're going for feel good and like, just like how Top Gun gave you that, like, come on, high five, let's do it. Let's have a little montage of us at the bar, and then we're going to throw darts, and then we're going to do it. We're going to train to be astronauts.
Yeah.
And then it's like Steve Buscemi. They have one day off to say bye to their loved ones. And like, what do? They go out and he's like, I'm going to get some hookers. And like, I'm like, what is happening, Hollywood?
That's true.
Or not.
And then
hookers,
at the
prostitutes.
end with the movie, when they're like singing at the very end,
Oh my God.
that was like...
Oh my God. See, you know what I'm saying. You knew
That gets made fun of too.
I know.
Whatever.
When Ben Affleck was saying bye to Liv Tyler, right? Yeah. and the guy, the top security dude, he's like, "And you trust these guys?" I'm like, first of all, you would not be that like trivial about that situation.
Do you remember the movie Superstar with Molly Shannon and Will Ferrell?
Yes.
There's a scene in that movie where they're making fun of Armageddon, and she goes and runs and jumps on Will Ferrell, and she's like, "No, don't go! Like, don't go!" She's like has her legs wrapped around him. Like,
okay, I'm not alone. I'm not alone.
They definitely
look.
make fun
I have
of
to
this
say, first of
movie.
all, Ben Affleck, Liv Tyler, even Bruce Willis, they look good.
Oh yeah,
They look good in that movie. Have to give them that.
Yeah.
It was good eye candy.
Yes.
There we go.
Okay.
That's why I keep referencing Top Gun. I feel like there's like a little connection there of like, it was great eye candy. It's not necessarily a great story. That's okay. All right, so how did we feel about it overall? We can give it an overall vibe, and that's okay. Was it...
Did you want to Armageddon on? Armageddon don't.
Oh my God. Was it...
Ready for liftoff?
Ready for liftoff?
Or Armageddon don't.
Oh, we'll take it.
Okay, thank
we'll
you.
take it. All right. Was it ready for liftoff or Armageddon don't?
Uh-huh.
And we say...
Ready for liftoff?
Armageddon don't. I had a feeling we were going to be opposite. That's okay. It's nice to have a yin and yang. But hey, you guys know why we liked or didn't like it.
Yes.
And so, but what we're more interested in is to know how you felt about like.
What did you feel about
Yeah,
it?
do you
Let us
think?
know.
Actually, there was a lot of cinematic moments there. Again, like when they, like the scene when they were out there, it was a lot of orchestral. I don't know if you remember, there was a lot of like action, a lot of explosive, a lot of tension, and I paid attention to the sound, which is like strings and orchestral and like very deep motional
When they're
kind
in
of
space.
And
when
they're
they're
in
in the oil rigs,
space.
it's all like rock.
When they're the world is Top Gunny.
Yeah, totally.
And Michael Bay, that wasn't too bad. I'll give you that. Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's pick another one.
Alrighty, let's see.
Boop, box.
There was a moment when I used to blame everything and everyone for all the pain and suffering and things that happened to me that I saw happen. I think I know what this is. Mm-hmm. Is this
It was
American History X?
American History X. That's right. That was the professor. We visited him in jail. Remember?
Yes.
In prison. And he was saying like, look, I remember I was like this. I thought the world was against me. I was watching my people. Things happened to them. He's a person of color, and like very different than Ed Norton.
Yeah.
Who he's like this white dude, ex-Nazi or current Nazi at the time or neo-white supremacist. And he had a rude awakening in prison.
This movie was wild.
It was tough. It was
a very controversial film of that year, 1998.
Of that year, it was very
Yeah.
controversial because it was the first time, just like some other films, where it was willing to speak to this very uncomfortable subject, which, by the way, we're still talking about right now, and it's 2023. Mm-hmm. This was about racism in America and the rise of
the
these
neo-Nazi movement.
Yes, these white
Supremacists.
supremacist groups that are hate groups, and Ed Norton is the lead. Mm-hmm. I have to say, I'm telling you, he's another one of my favorite actors because he, on one side of the coin, you despise him. Mm-hmm. And on the other side of the coin, when he has his kind of like epiphany, you're rooting for him.
Definitely, it's like arguably one of the best performances of his career.
Yeah.
It's like bone-chilling, filled with intensity, remorse, and redemption.
Yes, and exactly. And he was unapologetic at representing something that's very uncomfortable for our country to like accept about our history and about a lot of people in our current population and culture feel, usually disenfranchised people. People feel like, it's very easy to pick a target of blame or, when you're feeling like you're being bullied. Now, this was like a remark about how young white men might get into this mentality and how it begins.
It's like a character study, really, that's like examining what makes an American Nazi and how to overcome that.
Yes.
So how to overcome that thinking, basically.
Yes. And he had a younger brother who, in a way, he was grooming before he went to prison. And he had this change of heart and realized he didn't want his brother to, he thought, his younger brother thought, oh, look what I've been doing. I've been making you proud, right? And he was like, no, I was wrong.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting moment. And so the American History X, that title is actually the name of the paper that this high school principal, who didn't want to give up on his younger brother because he already knew, like Ed Norton, he thought he was just a really smart student that just had gone down the wrong path and now he's in prison, whatever. And so he didn't want the younger brother to do the same thing. So he wasn't giving up on him, even though he was like racist, it was really awful. He wanted to give him a chance and realized where he was coming from. So it was interesting that it was a black man who was like really trying to give him compassion and empathy.
Yeah, it's like we learned that racism begins at home, and this story is basically...
It's definitely taught.
Taught at home, sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
that's
and
right.
Ed Norton's character, Derek, is just basically trying to save his little brother from this way of thinking. He had a huge role in how he molded him.
And he gets out of prison, as we find, because he was up for parole, because of the help of that principal. So he realized he helped him, give him a chance for a new life. And so that's why he kind of enrolled him to say, like, help us. You have a voice in this community, and you could be the one to help turn these minds around. It was interesting, and it's bittersweet. I don't want to ruin it because I wonder if some people see, because this one
some
I don't think
are
a lot
really
of people
hard
saw.
to watch.
It was hard. You know what? I love that though. I was thinking watching this again, and it was one of my favorite movies when I first saw it. It was hard to watch, but it was really. I was watching another thing that had to do with this subject, and the woman, she runs an organization who really tries to kind of bring to light awareness of real history in the South and stuff like that. And a lot of it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But, even talking to the interviewer, she was like, yeah, this is really hard to talk about, but we need to talk about it. Like talking about the number of rapes that were happening that were not reported and not even acknowledged. And it's uncomfortable, but until we acknowledge that, we can't heal. So I was like watching this and I was like, gosh, this is uncomfortable. And then I was just going like, you know what? How wonderful it is to sit through that and let the uncomfortableness come up, but know that you're looking for that redemption too, because that's where your heart is. And I feel like if people are willing to just do that, I think a lot of white people are worried like, oh, it's not me. There's a reaction, but sit with it. If you are feeling
because it's
like
an honest depiction of violence and racism in this country today.
It's happening now, but
it's
sit with it. But say like, look, you might have been like that. Let's say you were even neo-Nazi before. The point is, if you're feeling like that's not who you are now, and that's what you don't want to see that now, you feel for these characters, that's a good thing. And it's going to make you feel uncomfortable, and that's okay. We need to feel uncomfortable to make change. Like, look at the Holocaust in Germany. We have to atone. I think that's the only way that things will truly shift. And we won't have these groups forming anymore because it's like they're looking for reasons to justify their state in life and blame it on a scapegoat that isn't real. We need to band together. It's like maybe it's our government, maybe it's our culture.
Harmony with each other. Yeah.
We're just human beings, right? Race was created as a slavery construct. There's no such thing as different races. We're a human race. We have different ethnicities.
Right.
And so that was used to control. So knowing that every time knowledge and sitting through the uncomfortable so we can actually get the real facts, the history that was hidden from us, that lets us love each other and have more empathy for each other. That's how we change it, right? And just having a change of heart. Also, he went through something in prison where like a black dude is the reason why he survived prison. And that's why he had that change of heart and he realized.
And in the end of the movie, it makes you really feel for
sad.
him. It's so sad, but you got to watch it.
Actually, it was an honest ending.
Yeah.
It was honest. Because it was like there was so much that had to be unraveled and had already been created that you can't just like,
right.
It's going to take some work. But
it's real and
how
it's
about
Oscar nominated.
Yeah, and you know
Best
what?
actor in a leading role. He didn't win, although he should have, but
I know.
Incredible. And the soundtrack, the scoring of this film was all done by Ann Dudley. It was very emotional.
It was very emotional. It was very kind of like, I was thinking piano. It was almost like classical piano at moments. It was like this orchestral thing. And it was very stripped down a little bit. And I was so surprised, but it led with that. It opened with that. There was times when he came back and he was like with his friends and they were like playing like hardcore like death metal vibes.
Yeah.
But the movie, I felt very emotional.
And they kind of jumped between past and present, like the past would be in black and white, kind of like a Spike Lee film. And
good note.
Yeah,
yes.
It was very captivating.
I loved how they did that. That helped us realize, oh, this is in the past. And then this is him now. And so, and the music, again, it almost had a Spike Lee vibe. Now that you're mentioning that.
And actually, that's why Ed Norton wanted to do it, because he was such a fan of Spike Lee films, and this was very reminiscent of that.
It was.
Directed by Tony Kaye, but it had that Spike Lee
that makes
feel.
a lot of sense.
Because Spike Lee definitely in all his films, he's not afraid to talk about race and the issues happening.
Not only the subject, but the music he lays over.
Yeah.
Usually it's like this very dramatic. Sometimes he uses it too much where you're like, I can't hear the dialogue. But like this one was a good balance, I felt. Yeah. Wow. And then
Great film.
who was the mother was a well-known, I forget what her name is. She's like old school.
Yeah,
And
she was
then-
great in this. But
Yeah.
also,
The-
Stacey, the girlfriend, Feruza.
Oh my God, from The Craft.
From The Craft
I mean,
and from
she
Waterboy.
was
and like,
perfect because like she channeled The Craft in this one. She was
plays
creepy.
that crazy girl so
was
well.
creepy
Yeah, she's
Nazi
wild.
girlfriend. Sorry. But like, yeah, and that's the thing. He was like thinking, you know, when he came out, he thought she loved him and was all about him. And she was like, no, I'm about this life, you know?
He was like, I can't be
And then
with you
turned on him in a
anymore.
heartbeat.
Right. How sad.
Ew, and his gross friend almost like was gonna shoot him. I'm like, ew. He was probably realizing like, wow, these were my friends. Wow. Well, so and this was your first time watching it, right?
First time watching it, yes.
And I was at first thinking like, oh gosh, I forgot to warn you because it's a
Like,
little
the opening
intense.
scene was just like the first 5 minutes of it is
I
just
know.
so intense.
Well, the very, very first scene, did you know it was like just the shot of the ocean with that music?
Oh yeah.
And I was like, well, that's a weird way to open because I didn't remember that. But then it goes into like the and like
Yeah,
you're just like
the
thrown
wildness.
into it. Yeah. And Ed Norton, man, scary.
He was
and
so
I was thinking
good.
about him in Fight Club, even just, like it's the way he, I don't know, he just like turns it on. Like it was weird.
Did you know he dated Salma Hayek around this time?
No.
I didn't know that. I was like,
Okay.
what?
Okay, Selma and
I
Ed.
think they were actually married for like 3 years.
Wow, I can see that. He's actually, he picks some really good roles. I like how he challenges himself that way, you know?
It was amazing. You guys need
Yeah.
to watch this film. I think we know that we loved it.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So what's our vote on it? Was it a,
A wake-up call
ooh,
or a downward spiral.
I like that.
Thank you.
That's good.
Thank you.
Because I think we're still in this weird middle ground. I feel the sorting a hat is happening, and I feel more and more people are seeking that understanding and that knowledge that is going to create that healing and atonement. But I feel like there's still resistance. There's still resistance. But I feel like my hope is we're going to, yes, this new chapter of redefining who we are as Americans. And you know what I'm saying? With that said,
Was it a wake-up call or a downward spiral?
and we say,
A wake-up call.
this was
Wake up.
beauty. And you know what? Again, this was the beginning because 90s, a lot was going on. You know, remember with
George
Rodney
Floyd?
King? Wasn't that in the 90s? That was
90s.
when that happened. But what I'm saying is there was tension, and this was the first time Hollywood had the courage to greenlight a movie like this where we were like opening the door for that conversation.
Yeah.
It's very uncomfortable. We weren't like Disneying it up.
Right.
You know, so I loved that.
Very
I was
in
really
your
happy
face.
about us moving in that direction, and that was,
It's become a cult classic, this film.
it has been.
Yeah.
And so, okay, yes, we
right.
got one more before we get to our second chance
Yes.
segment.
Yeah, up, Shazer.
I'm up? Okay, here we go.
What is it? Let's give you act it out.
All right, remember, alcohol equals puke equals smelly mess equals nobody likes you.
Oh, that sounds like the wedding.
Oh my God, this is a fun movie. It still holds up. It's still funny. It's still charming. And guess what? Adam Sandler, here we go. This was actually one of the movies I actually like Adam Sandler.
Adam
It's the same
Sandler
way.
and Drew Barrymore together. And
Oh,
they
Drew
are
Barrymore.
just
I love
so
Drew Barrymore.
magical.
She's one of my faves.
This is their first film together, but they've done so many, like 50
Since
First
then?
Dates, Blended.
Yes, they had good chemistry.
Such good chemistry. But
Good
this is just like
chemistry.
a good, feel-good rom-com. You know, it's a 80s flashback.
80s. And talk about amazing soundtrack.
Amazing soundtrack.
I felt so good listening to all the songs in between the segues.
It's a soundtrack of the ages.
It's a soundtrack of the ages. It's like the best of the 80s,
The
right?
Smiths, Billy Idol, which literally had a
Yes,
cameo
Billy Idol was
this
in it.
movie.
Yes, he was in it on the plane.
Dead or Alive, The Cars, just a ton
Oh my
of
God, The
amazing
Cars.
80s bands are in this.
Such good. And then, of course, Adam Sandler was like singing as
The
a
man
He was
himself.
literally singing the songs. He's actually a good singer.
He's so good. I love
Mm-hmm.
his song. Well, he had two, but Somebody Kill Me, where he's like,
When after his girlfriend totally like left him at the altar, and then he wrote this.
Somebody kill me, please. On my knees, pretty, pretty, please, kill me.
And it starts off like easy. It was like, dun, 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 dun. He's like, hey, dun, dun, dun,
know how much I need you.
And then he's like, somebody can. But you know what? How cute was like
Perfect like ending to that when he's singing that is when John Lovitz, he's like watching from behind the curtain.
Oh, and he goes slowly to the side.
He's out of his mind. He's losing his mind.
And then he's like,
and I'm reaping all the benefits.
And then he slowly slides out of frame. Oh my God. But how cute was Drew Barrymore in this? Because how sweet was she? She was watching him, you know, she was one of the caterers and he's sitting there singing that song. And she's just like, has this cute little sweet smile.
Like, who broke your heart?
Right.
Dad?
And she's just adorable. She's still adorable. I love her so much. She's such a sweetheart.
In a nutshell, basically, Adam Sandler, he's a wedding singer, and he just got his heart broken.
Ex-rock star.
Ex-rock star.
Or wannabe rock star, really.
And he got his heart broken because his soon-to-be wife left him at the altar.
At the altar.
So sad. And like, he
she's
has
kinda
the most
like a-
romantic job ever singing at these weddings.
Right, so he had to like figure out what to do because he was just didn't have the heart in him anymore.
All these outbursts, which
And
like, so sad.
yeah, but Drew Barrymore, he kind of stumbled across her. She was about to be married to kind of a skadoosh.
A skadoosh douche.
And he basically Adam Sandler was being a gentleman, even though they had a kind of like a spark. But he was honoring the fact that she was with somebody and was about to get married. He finds out as they go out one night, they did a double date, right? A friend of Drew Barrymore really liked him, and so they went on a double date, right?
Yeah.
And the girls went to the bathroom, and he realized that the guy was a complete like cheater and was like just
Awful.
a jerk, and he just didn't feel right about it.
Cheaters
so.
suck.
Cheaters suck. But like, yeah, and then of course there's an iconic song which he actually sings to woo her at the end.
Which is Growing Old with You.
Yes,
which is also
so
an Adam
sweet.
Sandler
It's very
song.
hooky. Da, 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 la, da, da.
With your
Da,
arthritis.
la, da, 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 and da. Growing old with you.
It's awesome because Billy
He
Idol's on the
serenaded her.
airplane. And he's like, everybody.
In his English accent.
In his English accent.
He's like, we got somebody here in first class. He'd like to sing a song for you.
And we pretty much let people in first class do
whatever
whatever
they
they want. Yeah. So good. But they released 2 volumes of the soundtrack because it was so good. And all the
Oh,
songs
really?
were
I didn't know
epic.
that.
And did you know, Shay, that this was actually a musical on Broadway? The Wedding
What?
Singer. Yes, in April 2006. It came out on Broadway and it lasted all the way up
didn't
until
know.
New Year's Eve that same year. But
Really? See, that's a good choice. I can see that being a good Broadway show.
yeah, such a great film.
my
Epic. And
gosh.
anything Adam Sandler does, I just love. But
He's
actually,
fun.
the same year, another honorable mention that I wanted to mention because I
Oh,
love it is
right.
The Water Boy.
The Water Boy also was charting.
It was also charting
That's
the same
right.
year, and like, it's just like one of the most quotable movies of all time. Like,
Yeah.
I just love The Water Boy.
Oh my God. That was another good one. We had to make a decision about.
Honestly, in this year, if we want to talk about like all the connections,
Yeah.
who do we say was in Armageddon? The girl from The Craft.
Veruca?
Yes,
Yes.
she's in this, and Steve Buscemi is in The Wedding Singer.
Oh wait, Steve Buscemi is the brother-in-law that's got
having
drunk
the
dude.
meltdown.
I didn't remember he was like, oh, he's a good wedding singer. Like, remember he was like, did the toast. It was
His
terrible.
drunken toast. But he was in
Veruca
Armageddon.
was also in it. Where was she? What?
No, she's in The Water Boy.
Oh, she's in the Water Boy.
But they're like all
they all kind of like.
they were popping this year. But Adam also has Steve Buscemi in almost all of his films.
I think
like, he has
that's
a lot
what I'm
of
saying.
his
A lot of
friends in
actors will work with each other.
Yeah.
Which especially comedic actors. I love that.
It's such a great film.
It's like Kristen Wiig and like Melissa McCarthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Maya. What's her name?
Maya Rudolph.
Yeah. Oh, I love her. She is
love
so
her
funny. So funny. Yeah. And like. Actually, I thought the story was sweet. It was actually
Super
sweet.
sweet.
And even
It's a
though it was
feel-good
like,
movie.
it could have been cliche and weird. I don't know. It worked out. It was actually not cheesy.
No, it wasn't.
It was fun.
It's
I
so
liked it.
fun.
It wasn't slapsticky. I think I appreciated that.
Yeah, because it could have been.
Drew Barrymore, I swear, she's just a
I
force
love
to be
how
reckoned
she
with.
talks out of the side of her mouth.
Oh my God. I wish people could see you. That's so good.
She's just so great.
Do you watch her show?
I do watch sometimes.
She's good.
She's so sweet.
She's
I just
so
love
heartfelt.
her so much.
She's so authentic. I love that about her. And like, I think that's what people love to be on her show.
Yeah, they just have great chemistry together. Every movie they've done.
Oh, Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore? Yeah, I can see that.
I can watch 50 First Dates over and over.
Oh my God,
and over.
that's such a good one. I love that movie. When did that come out?
I want to say like that was like 2000.
That was in the
early
2000s. Yeah, I think so. Honorable mentions too. Now that you mentioned that, was there any ones that we were going to say?
Yeah, there were a couple like Shakespeare in Love, Rush Hour, A Bug's Life, The Big Lebowski,
Big Lebowski.
and
was
Pi.
another. Do you remember? Oh, the other thing about it. Remember his keyboardist? Arquette.
Oh yeah,
Arquette was in this. And by the way,
Alexis Arquette.
Yes, Alexis Arquette. And that was the first time they came out as trans. But like genuinely.
Yeah, when she was singing, "Do you really want to hurt me?" So good.
And then I keep singing it over, and he's like, "She really got to get another song or something like that." But no, yeah, that was actually big visibility at the time. That was like, like big news around that because the Arquette family is well known,
Yeah.
But I remember thinking like, oh gosh, I forgot. Is it she or they?
I'm not sure.
Is she?
I think
Alexis?
it's she, Alexis.
Okay, I think it's she.
Alexis
Oh yeah,
Arquette.
trans woman. Right. That was like way ahead of any exposure we had to that. Obviously, there was no delving into that character beyond like her as like a keyboardist in the band, but
Right.
it was kind of cool to see. All right, so our vote for The Wedding Singer is First Class, like the plane, or I don't want to say Left at the Altar.
Yeah, say that.
Okay. First Class or Left at the Altar. Okay.
right.
So our vote for The Wedding Singer is
First Class. All the way, baby. Ooh.
That was not
Little
meant to be a
BBs in
good
there.
one. A little Aaron Neville. Okay,
Yes,
so
loved it.
So yeah, that was a great movie, and so we are finally to our second chance. And what this segment is, to remind you guys, is that we often will find a movie that it wasn't necessarily in the top. It was almost in the top, but we felt it was top enough to mention because of its soundtrack or something musically that was happening around it, or something that was noteworthy enough that we felt it deserved a little shout out, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you go ahead and pick that last one.
Alrighty.
And what is this second chance to dance this episode?
The flower that blooms in adversity is the most rare and beautiful of all. Mulan.
Mulan!
I love it.
This was Disney. Oh, yes. And this was the animated one. The very first one was purely animated, but in old school kind of Disney cartoon vibe, not the new school like Pixar vibe.
Yes.
And this was the first time Disney didn't do like a traditional Western story. It was a Chinese folklore. It was based on a
Yes.
Chinese folklore. And tell me more about it.
So basically, Mulan, her father gets drafted into the Chinese military, and she poses as a soldier to go fight for him because he's really old and she doesn't
Right.
want
Well,
him to
because, they
fight.
came a knocking, and her father was too old because she thought if he went, he would definitely not survive.
Yes.
So she decided
She has to impersonate a man.
Yes,
and
she-
just goes off with the
She goes off to
recruits.
fight as a man for the emperor.
And she's accompanied by her dragon, Mushu, played by Eddie
Mushu!
Murphy.
I said Murphy! That's right. Mushu's so cute.
And she basically saves China by defeating the Huns. But
And remember, she was also about to be like set up to be married. Remember, it was like arranged marriages.
please bring honor to us, please.
Yes,
bring honor
there was
to
a
us.
lot of like wonderful messages throughout the whole thing where it was showing how she was super creative. She was a problem solver. Everything she did, she always was clever about it.
She's such a great role model for
Yeah.
young girls. I love this movie so much, and this soundtrack slaps. I still play this soundtrack to this day.
Who's the famous track on it?
Christina Aguilera
Hello.
for her song Reflection, and it
Yes.
was number 15 on Adult Contemporary.
How does it go
number
again?
24
This
in
was the one
Billboard.
that-
Who is that girl I see
Yes.
staring straight back at me?
Oh.
When will my reflection show who I am inside?
Yes.
so great. Number 24 on the Billboard chart.
Sweet. Yes.
And also, the theme song of the movie was True to Your Heart.
Yes.
Dun, dun, True to Your Heart by 98 Degrees and Stevie Wonder.
That's right. Stevie Wonder had that. Well,
That
Stevie Wonder
actually
had
reached
another one.
number 51 on the Billboard charts. He did a lot.
Yeah, he had another track that was like, I forget the title of it, but that and the Christina Aguilera one was the one that really had a lot of.
But the ones that
notoriety.
everyone like loves and remembers is "I'll Make a Man Out of You" by Donny Osmond.
Yes!
Mr. I'll make a man out of you. Oh my god, I could go on and on.
It's a sweet story. Actually, the animation is really cute and classic. I loved it.
It was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Original Score and Best Original Song by, Reflection. And fun facts about this, Jackie Chan dubbed the Chinese dub. He voiced for Lee.
Oh, cool.
And, so Eddie Murphy plays Mushu, but
Right.
Joe Pesci and Richard Dreyfuss turned down the role before Eddie
Oh,
picked it up.
really? For Mushu?
Yes, and
I
Eddie
can see Joe Pesci doing it. That's
I could
cute.
see him doing
That's
it too.
cute.
Eddie actually didn't want to make the trip to the recording studio, so he actually recorded all of his lines in his Jersey mansion.
Oh my God.
And it became one of his most iconic roles.
I mean, I want to
honestly.
have that life. Let me record for these shows. I do. I want to do voiceover for I
Any
love
Disney
animated
film?
stuff. It's
Yeah.
fun. You get so much fun.
It was also nominated for an Oscar for Best Original Music,
Okay.
and it flopped in China. This
I
movie flopped in
heard
China
about that.
because they
Why?
didn't believe
Why do you
Mulan
think?
looked Chinese enough.
What?
Yeah.
Interesting. So they thought we Americanized her?
And did you know, so the character Li Shang, the main guy of the
Emperor?
Emperor. No, not the
No,
Emperor.
no.
the one like training all the recruits,
Yes,
like
yes.
the main guy, the
Yes,
captain.
the head guy.
Captain. He's seen in the LGBTQ community as an icon because it's kind of like they think that he was like bisexual because he was kind of
Oh,
into
interesting.
Ping, Mulan, when she's dressed up
Yes.
as a guy. Ping,
Right.
That he was kind of into Ping and like fond of Ping
Right.
before he knew it was Mulan. That's what they'd say. That's what they try
No,
to say.
you know what? You're right. I remember actually Ginger had brought that up.
They
that
have
they
a
were
lot of
having a liking to
moments.
each other, and then I was like, wait, while she was still a guy?
Yeah.
And she was like, yes. And so it was almost like, but then she had a feeling for it, and so she revealed.
Yes.
But
it's like kind of like in Beauty and the Beast where they have those moments between Belle and the Beast where they like kind of like there's something there.
yes.
And it's kind of filmed the same way. So anyway,
Oh.
with the remake of Mulan, you know how they just released the remake
Yes.
like last year? Or
And they
something
have like
that?
an actual non-animated
Yeah.
Mulan too.
They didn't include that in the remake.
Oh,
And it's kind of like a missed
interesting.
opportunity for Disney to,
I wonder why. Because they were worried it was too controversial?
I think so. And
I
the
bet
Me Too
you they didn't want to
movement,
touch
and
it.
They didn't want to touch
that's
on
a
it. But it was a
shame.
missed opportunity.
No,
but
I think that people picked up on it, and maybe that's why people liked it. Because
Yeah.
that was the first time they were doing characters that was like a female protagonist that wasn't like, oh, I need the prince to save the day. She was very independent.
Mm-hmm.
She was creative and all these different things. It was a different story. It had to do with different types of relationships, and it was like a Chinese character
Mm-hmm.
versus like an American, so I thought that was pretty neat. That was the beginning of Disney changing how
Yeah.
princesses or the female characters in the stories, like what their motives were and like
Mm-hmm.
how the story unfolded,
exactly, because before that it was just like,
Always the prince saving the day.
right,
Yeah.
Mulan for the win.
Mulan
I
for the
love
win.
Mulan. Everyone go watch it.
And I think
So
a lot of people
good.
might have missed that one. That's why we're bringing it up because it's tough. It didn't have all the glitz and the glam of a special kind of animation, and maybe it wasn't promoted, but they probably didn't promote it as highly.
But it had a $90 million budget.
yeah.
It was like up there in the box
It was up there,
office.
and I feel like, well, hey, Mulan 2 came out, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So there's enough of momentum that people loved it. Mm-hmm. But it was the beginning of Asian character getting, the spotlight, which was amazing.
It's been dubbed in French, Arabic, Chinese, Spanish, Italian, Brazilian, Polish, Greek, Korean. List goes on and on.
Jeez,
Japanese.
that's amazing.
That's Disney for you.
That's
But
worldwide.
That's
Yeah,
our
and-
second
and then-
chance to dance.
Yeah, that was our second chance. And I did want to mention Christina Aguilera making a comeback. She's been like on a lot of stuff we've been reviewing.
I know.
Like she's like really into the
Well,
cinema.
this, in 1998, going back to this frequency, Christina wanted to release a song that showed her powerhouse vocals. And this is a song that did that for her. Because before it was just Genie in a Bottle.
Yes,
because she
good
wanted it
call.
they wanted her to be very pop, bubblegum pop, but she
It
was
was
like,
before she
nah,
broke
honey.
out and before
Yeah.
she was the Christina she is now.
This is the song that made everyone be like, oh, you are different.
That's
with
when
your
she started
vocals.
kind of getting up there with the Mariah vibe.
Yes, and the Whitney,
And
just
the
in that
Whitney,
same realm
yes.
of like powerhouse. Yeah.
I love that fact. Okay, well, yes, that was our second chance to dance, and I hope you guys appreciate that because listen to part 1, and you just heard part 2, but all these movies, really, really interesting and very popular of the time, but do they still stand up for you, if you watch them again, and maybe looking at them differently because of the music notes we mentioned, right?
Let us know what you think. We want to
Yeah,
hear
so
your
that's
thoughts.
a wrap. Is that our wrap for 1998, part
That's
2?
our wrap for 1998.
Oh my!
And
all
the whole
right.
year, part
oh
1,
my
part
gosh,
2.
that's a wrap for the year, and we were excited to take you guys in our time machine back to 1998. And so yeah, like we always say, do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you agree with the feedback we had in our comments on those titles? What did you think?
Let us know. We
Yeah.
want to hear from you. We love all your comments and feedback. Did we miss anything? Was there a film this year that you just loved and you wish we
Yeah.
would have talked about? Let us know.
Do you want us to talk about a certain title and think about it? Doesn't matter the year. We're open. We're going through and like picking stuff that's relevant to us or that we're interested in, but we're also thinking noteworthy stuff that is still resurging and still in people's minds, But we'll hop around. We can hop to any year. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, but with that said, definitely follow us on Spotify and you can leave comments there.
Yeah.
And give us a rating. Tell us what you think about our episodes.
And subscribe so that you don't miss any
Subscribe.
episodes.
Yeah, every time we put an episode out, if you're subscribed, it'll go bing and let you know that there's a new Sonic Chronic waiting for you. All right?
Thanks for tuning in to the Sonic Chronic, and that was the frequency of
That time. All right.
Frequency of the